How would you like to make your first million? And today we have Joey joining from Alabama, and he teach uh, people how to get financially freedom and to get what we call a passive income, which is a topic that we will discuss further because everybody's always saying, is it really passive income? So we will define that. So Joe, tell us, what are the 5 steps that you recommend the entrepreneurs out there in order to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I don't think you should focus on making your first million. I
Very
think you
good.
should focus on making your passive income to exceed your monthly expenses. So it's a much, much smaller number than you
That's a
think,
great first step
right? Yeah,
to become a millionaire, right?
that's right. Yeah, get your passive income to exceed your monthly expenses. Know the formula to financial freedom. It's not about making $1 million. It's about making, let's say your monthly expenses are 10,000 a month. Well, make 10,000 a month passively, and now your calendar is yours. Nobody tells you what to put on your calendar when you have passive income that exceeds your monthly expenses. That's step one. Know the formula, right? Step two is you have to be the one to take control of your finances. In order to do this, you have to be the one in control. You can't keep giving up access to your money. You can't keep giving it up and saying, abdicating it to someone else to take your money and invest it for you. You have to be the investor, right? So, step one, know the formula. Step two, take control of your finances. Step three is what we teach is build your own passive income operating system. Make sure your cash is flowing from your active income to make passive income. And if you don't have a system like that, that is a massive, massive step because most people live in the rat race. Harry, you know that,
Oh
right?
yeah, tell me about it.
They never get out of the rat race. They just constantly make the next dollar and then spend it and make the next dollar and spend it. They never get to a point where their calendar is their own, right? So we believe you have to have a system to do that, and I can dive into it if you want. And then the fourth step is you have to become an investor. There's a lot of people, Harry, I think that they've had success as business owners and they think they can be an investor. Well, guess what? Being an entrepreneur does not
100%.
mean you're an investor,
100%.
right? There's a lot of entrepreneurs with a lot of money that end up trading that money to other people and losing it because they invest it poorly.
I
They
agree
haven't
100%.
They haven't determined what their investor DNA profile is. They haven't figured out their investor buy box. Like, what is the buy box that they need to be focused in on to where they can only say yes to the right deals and no to the wrong deals, right? They don't know how to read a pitch deck. They don't know how to read a PPM.
Hmm.
That's a skill that you have to spend time and money to learn how to do before you
Mastering
ever invest, right?
100%.
And then the last step is you got to be in a mastermind. You have to put yourself around other people who are on the same journey so that you're getting the same sort of advice from people who have been there, done that. And you're not putting yourself around the people that you're around today. They're trying to hold you back because they don't understand financial freedom. They don't know what it takes to become financially free. In fact, they're going to make you question, well, Harry, why do you think you can become financially free? It's not, oh, you're going to lose all your money when you invest in that. Oh, man, Harry, most people, they always retire. You don't need to worry about getting freedom today. Like those are the things that we have to get that out of our system and start getting the positive reinforcement from other people who are doing what we're doing. So those are my 5 steps to get to
Brilliant.
passive income greater than monthly expenses.
So the power of the mastermind. I remember when I started my first business, it was in property. We managed to sell over 5 million. And I spent like 4 years. I built my business, it grew, and I was thinking that I was the only one that I was doing my property strategy. I was thinking even I invented this with a friend that teach me a little bit. I was thinking I was the only one. And little did I know when I joined the mastermind, a property mastermind, I realized that I was not the only one. There were more people doing it. They were doing it better than me, bigger than me. And also, there were other property investment strategies that I didn't even know. There were mortgage brokers and advisors there in these property masterminds and so on. And it was the first time that I started to find a group of people that actually think and behave like me, because what really happened is when I become an entrepreneur and I went out with my friends that said, well, I started this business and I'm doing this property and I'm gonna expand, I'm gonna get this house and I'm gonna make this money and everything. None of my friends didn't really care. They didn't even listen to me. So I realized when I started my business from day one, then I was about to lose all my friends, and I actually lost them because they didn't care about what I was doing. Didn't have any point of conversation with them anymore. For the point that I stopped to be an employee and become an entrepreneur, right? So,
Hmm.
um, why and how do you see the power of the mastermind, especially in a topic which is financial freedom, where um, it's a lot of when you talk about this to become financially free with the 100% of the people, like 90% they will tell you that this is not possible, that this is impossible, that this is really doesn't exist. You you sharing with me the concept of passive income. Passive income, is it really passive, or there is something actively? A lot of people talk about income is an utopia. Uh, so you need to be in a group of people that they are all on the line with the same system, and because like that, it's like the whole group are aiming to the same goal, and at least the whole group believe what you believe. So what is your views, or what are the limiting beliefs that we all out there have about money, about passive income? And also, you see, because becoming financially free is right that you go and work, you stay at home, and your money go and work for you. And guess what? The money doesn't get tired. It works 24 by 7. It doesn't need day off, doesn't need holiday. So do you prefer you go and work and stay in the rat race to make money? Or you prefer to stay at home, travel the world, do a podcast, and then the money is working for you 24 by 7, Monday to Sunday? Is this really possible, Joe, what I'm talking about, or doesn't really exist?
Yeah,
And
so
is Mhm.
I'll answer. I think you had several questions in there. The first one is the reason why you join a mastermind is because, and someone in our mastermind said this, when your aspirations is someone else's daily realization, you're in the right room, right? If you're in the room and you can stand next to another person and say, man, this is my dream. I would love to accomplish this, whatever it is. And they put their arm around you, they say, that's really cute. Let me tell you what's actually possible. And it's 100x
Wow.
what you could actually imagine because that's where you have a lid. We all have a lid on what we think is possible. And so when we get in the rooms with the people that already have that lid raised well above where we think, now all of a sudden we start to see what was always there, but didn't know what we didn't know. The other thing is you have to start thinking like the wealthy. Well, the wealthy don't do investing in the stock market. They don't do investing the way that the average middle level person invests. They invest in deals that nobody would even know existed because
Mhm.
they're in groups that they say, hey, I'm doing this deal. Do you want to do it with me? Well, you don't get that if you're not in those rooms, right? You don't see the deals that exist. They happen all the time under your nose, but you don't know that they're even there because you're not in connection with those people. You're not in relationship. And relationship is where what happens in these masterminds. So I'm a firm believer. Not only that, you learn things, even if you're in a passive income mastermind. A lot of people are entrepreneurs. They already are running active businesses, or they've exited from active businesses and they're
Mhm.
sitting on $50 million or $100 million or whatever. Those are the things where you pick up even tips on that, on what they do with their active business. So these are all reasons that you can never um, you never pay enough to outpace the value you get from a mastermind. People are like, oh my goodness, your mastermind is $84,000 a year. That's just expensive. It's only expensive if it doesn't yield you
Mhm.
$8 million, right?
Exactly.
Or $840,000 of value. We have one guy in our mastermind that came to one tax intensive. And he has saved over $600,000 on taxes just from coming to that one event. And I told him, I said, how much did your membership cost? He was like, it was free because it more than paid for itself in one meeting, right?
Mhm.
So I think that that is a huge way of thinking that people need for masterminds. Um, and then you asked another question, and it's around this idea of does passive income even exist? I'm gonna give you my thoughts on this. Passive income exists after you've taken an active role or an involved role in it. In other words, in order for something to be passive, there had to be activity to begin with. Either I had to
Mhm.
go to work to create a lot of money to then be able to passively invest in someone else's deal. But the second thing that's true about that is you have to put in the time to become an investor. You have to be educated. And that's an active role. You can't just sit back and be educated unless you just lose money, because that's also an education, right? I
Mhm.
put money in this deal, it didn't work out, I learned something, right?
Mhm.
But you would want to learn before what things to look for, what things not to look for, the people, the operators that you would want to invest in. That's a very active and relational thing. So you gotta be really thoughtful about those key aspects.
Yeah. And how they are when we see education and financial education, we were discussing a little bit before the broadcast, a challenge that we face with entrepreneurs because exactly you agree 100%. If you a good entrepreneur, that doesn't mean that you have been a good investor. However, a lot of good investors, they have been good entrepreneurs before. Those ones that have these VC funds, and you see that they have been in here podcast in this podcast, and they have been uh, they some of them have one exit, two exit, three exits, seven, and they say, okay, Harry, look, I beat the process. I know how to scale the business, and I'm investing in those business because I already done it as an entrepreneur several times and already find the commonalities and beat the process. Um, but not necessarily a good entrepreneur. He has financial literacy to out of the business create a vehicle to become financially free, right? Most of we discuss a lot in this broadcast that very common that happen as an entrepreneur. You make money, you reinvest in the business, you make money, you reinvest in the business, you make money to spend, reinvest in the business. Yeah, we all have done this. And then What happened? Then credit crunch come, COVID comes, a drastic change in technology come, and in a couple of months you're out of business. You don't even know what happened, and all your life work disappear, and you don't have any asset. You don't have any vehicle to get. You need to start all over again, right? Which is going to be very easy because you already have a lot of experience. However, you have to start all over again. That you like to do business, that's okay, but it's good to do it because you want to, not because you have to.
Right.
And the some idea that we always discuss here is okay, fine. If you have a business and you make some money, why? Let's say like you take this money and you invest it in a property, something simple so everybody understand. And you buy a property, you rent it out, and then after you pay your mortgage, you have a cash flow. Let's suppose that you have $1,000, $2,000 monthly cash flow. Get that cash flow money, use it for marketing on your own business. Guess what happened? You're gonna have a lot of monthly money that you can use to expand that business, and then the business might grow. Okay, buy another property or invest in another asset that gives you that can flourish. Why? You are kind of building your diversifying and creating other verticals. And in case that you go out of business, which is business, no, most of the time don't last forever. We all think that when we have a business, gonna outlive, gonna live more than us, and this is quite uncommon. Uh, you have some asset, you have another source of income that you can even be financially free and build a business, expanding, create a lot of job, and anything happen, well, you got out of business, but somehow you're financially free because you invest in other vehicles and now you have all this money. But for that, again, Joe, I agree 100% with you. Entrepreneurs, they are not necessarily they have to be good investors. Actually, it's very rare to find them. Or you find that entrepreneur is a good investor is those ones that have one, two, three, four exits, and they have a lot of money, have a lot of experience. They know how to invest. But the typical entrepreneur that have one business and expanded whatever, uh, opposite. They get so emotional attached to the business that everything they got, they put it in there without knowing the huge risk that this take place. So why do what can we do in order to change or to upgrade the line of thinking of entrepreneurs? Because we believe from this podcast that entrepreneurs deserve to be wealthy, deserve to be happy, and deserve to be healthy because they do take more responsibility and more risk than anybody out there. They employ people. The reason that they exist is because society growth. And at the previous podcast we have with an entrepreneur that they were social entrepreneur, right? That was making family homes and making money and do good and create a big impact on society. So, but entrepreneurs usually we take all this pressure, all this risk, and if we are lucky, we can exit the business, which is really really small percentages, and then they're left with nothing, end up with zero. And if they got all and they didn't manage, all this job was for nothing. And some of them end up with, this emotional pain, becoming physical pain. They end up with heart attack, cancer, frustration, things like this. So what can we do in order to lead entrepreneurs that parallel is the most important thing is not only start your business, grow your business, make a million. More important is exactly what you say, your step one. Use that business as a vehicle to build your financial freedom. So then you go to your business because you want to know, because you have to. If you go out of business, you can open another one because you want to know, because you have to. If you want to do travel the world or whatever, you can do whatever because you can feel your long calendar. This is something I've been so lucky in the last 18 years. I love this concept. And you were sharing or saying, well, in the last 18 years, I've been filling my own calendar. I feel quite lucky that 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 I made myself in this space, and I'm telling you, it's priceless. I would I won't change that for any money in the world. And so tell us, Joe, why do you think there is that gap? How can we fill that gap? Because between entrepreneurs and financial education, financial freedom, uh, that I think both things, the both skills should be parallel, but this is not actually what is happening. They are focusing the business, want to grow a business, everything about the business. Want to know if Joe, you come to the mastermind. Let's talk about what can you do parallel and have financial freedom. Say, no, 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 I'm very busy in my business. I don't have time. I just need to focus on that without knowing the big risks that they are involved. So what can we do to close the gap?
I tell you, the first thing is you have to realize what you just said is your business is not the end, it's just the means. Your
Mm-hmm.
business, your active income should always be feeding your passive income. But what most people never do, they have to change their mindset to say, this is an active income and I need to build passive. They just keep focused on the active and they never look up, they never gain freedom, and they never have another asset. So, to your point, if they don't sell the business, they just stay working forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't have
Mm-hmm.
options. And so what we found is that most people just need a system. They need something that they can put on autopilot, that when their active income comes into their bank account, that then it goes to an income account. And the income account then pays the bills down to its expense account. And anything that's left over in that income account, not left in the business, but paid out to you as an owner, distribute all of that money to yourself, push that money into your investment side, into your, then we call it like a hub, your investment hub. And we use a concept called infinite banking to make sure that our dollars are always compounding. They're growing just like the banks would do with their money. We encourage people to do the same. And once they do that, now they have an ability to leverage and buy passive income assets that produce a perpetual passive income that will continue to grow. If you do that, then you no longer have the issue of no options. You have your active income coming in, and then you have your whole passive income operating system working simultaneously. Like you said, it's working 24/7, doesn't get tired, and it's being done automatically. Because if you're like me, you're busy as an entrepreneur and you don't slow down. And if things are not automated, you become the bottleneck. We don't want you to be the bottleneck. We want the system to be always multiplying on your behalf. And I think, once people do that, that's when they start seeing options.
Yeah, and I think people say, well, but this passive income doesn't really exist. And I'm gonna give an example here. For example, uh, I remember that it was cash machines, right? That you were putting money into, and in order to take money out, it will charge you a fee, right? So who do you
Hmm.
think that these people that was putting that money, what they were getting? They were getting literally 100% passive income. They just were putting the money and they were just collecting the fee of the withdraft. So when Joey said that those deals, uh, you are not aware that exists because you are not in the cycle. These deals run around cycles of people don't understand this type of thing. But I can tell you for sure that there are a lot of vehicles out there that literally can create a passive income. And one could be even your own business because I remember even in my own business, they one day I arrived to the office and my manager told me, Harry, go home. We don't need you anymore. We can grow this business without you.
Mm.
So you can become obsolete in your own business. And this is when I think the talking about the cycle of possibility, people don't think that is possible because they are not even entrepreneurs because we are all used to do active work and receive that money. But that day when my employee told me go home, we don't need you, and it was not just for a week, it was no was for a month. It was like kind of she was even coming to my home once a month to tell me what she was doing with my business because she was better than me. She was saying, Harry, I'm gonna do this. I'm really, oh my God, it's better than what I was thinking. And I'm gonna this, and I'm gonna expand this, and I'm hiding these people. I'm like, wow. And I'm gonna pay them this, and you will see we're gonna grow. I'm so impressed. I was telling everybody, you won't believe my manager. She's amazing. That's the only thing that I could tell to people. And then I'm sitting at home, all this cash flow coming and coming and coming every month. And I'm like kind of uncomfortable. I'm thinking, wow, all this money is coming. I'm not doing anything. How is it possible? And that was the first time that I encountered 16 years ago. We think that is actually possible because it did happen to me. So I can tell you from my own experience that, but 100% what you say is very important. It took a lot of active work. It took 4 years of building that business and growing that business and a lot of setback and a lot of failure. But wow, the payoff was big time. When after 4 years, I was literally at home with nothing to do and all this money coming in. It was amazing. I was not even, I couldn't believe it. So it's actually possible. To me, happened by accident. I faced financial freedom and in that time, in that business, and that vehicle, kind of by accident. And then you go to a mastermind and you like, wow, this thing really, really something. Are you guys doing this for real, intentionally, not by accident? And then you start to meet new people with new ideas, and it's amazing. So the power of the mastermind is it have been priceless for me because I managed to meet more people that happened the same thing because I was thinking that I was the only one until you don't meet. So when Joe talking about you were before as a mortgage, you're working as a mortgage broker before. One of the five wealthy entrepreneurs and investors that come to this podcast, they are property investors. So we already interviewed 500 millionaires, and one out of five that show to the broadcast their property. Why do you think is it really property a good vehicle to generate passive income? You coming from that industry, so that's why I'm asking you this question. Or
Yeah.
is not so good to be true? Tell us your view. Something is for sure. Property is a great vehicle to become a multimillionaire because one out of five people that get interviewed here, they are from that industry. Uh,
Yeah.
so, so is it really easy become a millionaire in property? If it's really easy, generate a passive income from property, or it's actually a vehicle like something else, or what are the risks involved, or what people need to understand in order to create financial freedom, coming investing in property.
So I would say the question should be less about what to invest in and more about what sort of investor you are, right?
Hmm.
So most people, they hear about somebody having success investing in something.
Hmm.
Maybe it's a piece of property. Maybe it's a short-term
Bitcoin,
rental or Airbnb,
Bitcoin, or
Bitcoin or
Bitcoin.
cars or, they invest in websites or, whatever. There's all these sort of things, e-commerce. And they think, oh, well, Harry's having a good success in having an Amazon business. Maybe I should do an Amazon business. But what we realized and what we developed is the investor DNA profile. It's your personality really has to match what you invest in. Because if you don't, you're just chasing the ROI. The chances are you're going to be left either one, not successful in that business and then lose all your appetite to invest anything else, or two, you have some success, but because it doesn't really line up with you, you get bored and you either sell too soon or you don't get the full benefit of it. And so what we've determined is, figure out what your investor DNA profile is, look at the various list of other things that you could invest in and see which ones of those line up with you. We have about 16 different passive income sources that we have in our matrix that when you take your personality profile with us, it matches up with those 16. It tells you, hey, if you're a driver personality, you're going to really like business. You're going to really like running a short-term rental business. You're going to really like running a land flipping business. Like there's all these things, owning laundromats. Those are things that as a high driver D personality, you're going to really like. But as an S personality, a steady, loyal, dependable kind of personality, you don't really want any of those things. You want something that's going to be very passive. You don't need to have any conflict. You want to have it just steady, and you're okay with a little bit lower returns because you just want it to be steady and reliable income, right? So you're going to be maybe more focused on like being in a debt fund or doing private lending, right? Or doing something that doesn't require a lot of like um, super, you don't have to be the center of attention, right? You can be in the
Mm-hmm.
background.
Mm-hmm.
So my point is figure out what your personality profile is and let it line up with what to invest in instead of chasing what everybody else is doing. Russ and I have invested in 21 plus different investment streams and vehicles, and those have created over 50,000 a month in income passively. But that doesn't mean
Wow.
that you should invest in the same things that we've done.
Mm-hmm.
You should invest in the things that line up with you and go really hard and fast in that area, and you'll have much better success.
That's fantastic. Joy, somebody is in love with the conversation, want to learn more from you guys about your mastermind, about what you do. How can they find you? How this process work?
Yeah, go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/entrepreneurs. Wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/entrepreneurs. And on there, there's some free resources. There's actually a quiz that you can take to see how close are you to financial freedom.
Wow.
That's where a lot of people start. Once they get
Mhm.
those results, now they know what to do. And there's all my contact information on there. So love to connect with you if you go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/entrepreneurs.
That's fantastic, Joe. So, and for all of you following the broadcast, see you in our next episode of How Brave Entrepreneur like Joe break that wall and achieve the first million.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.